that silsila and that nur remains within ourselves. So, and to continue our program tonight now, my dear brothers, I will now call upon Abdullah Patel to render a qiraat for us.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا السماء انفطرت وإذا الكواكب انتثرت وإذا البحار فجرت وإذا القبور بعثرت علمت نفس ما قدمت وأخرت. يا أيها الإنسان ما غرك بربك الكريم الذي خلقك فسواك فعدلك في أي سورة ما شاء ركبك. كلا بل تكذبون بالدين وإن عليكم لحافظين كراما كاتبين يعلمون ما تفعلون. إن الأبرار لفي نعيم وإن الفجار لفي جحيم يصلونها يوم الدين وما هم عنها بغائبين. وما أدراك ما يوم الدين ثم ما أدراك ما يوم الدين يوم لا تملك نفس لنفس شيئا والأمر يومئذ لله. صدق الله العظيم.
MashaAllah. The surah recited was Surah Infitar. It's in the last part of the Holy Quran. In this surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the opening ayats first draws our attention towards the day of resurrection and the resurrection itself. One day this world will come to an end, it will be destroyed, and we will all be resurrected from our graves. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks a rhetorical question, مَا غَرَّكَ بِرَبِّكَ الْكَرِيمِ, that, O insan, what has deviated you from your kind Rabb, your kind nourisher? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses two very important words here, Rabb, a nourisher, meaning that being who has nourished you, meaning which has brought you and has given you nourishment from childhood to adulthood, has helped you grow slowly into a complete and full human being. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions a few of His bounties upon us. الَّذِي خَلَقَ, that being which has created you. فَسَوَّاكَ, and not only created you, has granted you perfection, meaning has made all your body parts in proportion to one another. That makes your moving around, the turning around very comfortable. To look at a human's body parts, every part of the human being is in proportion to the next. I just taken some guests to the wildlife reserve a few days back, and I noticed there was a turtle, and somehow it fell upon its shell. Somehow it turned over. Now the turtle was on his back, meaning the shell, and was trying to get back on his 2 feet. But because the shell is so big and the feet are so short, the poor thing is there wiggling his feet, but he cannot get on his feet again. So now it brings a sense of shukr in our heart, that this animal Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for sawwab did not create in proportion, meaning the legs are so short it cannot get itself back on its feet easily. But now if you look at the human being, if a human being is lying on his back and he's a healthy person, he can easily turn over and get onto his feet. He can move around, and he's very mobile in all his movements, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the human being in very good proportion, meaning all his body parts are in proportion to one another. So his moving around, his ability to do things is much easier than other animals. فَعَدَلَ. And the other bounty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in regarding to the way He has created the human being, and He's granted you a balance, meaning the blood and all the inner organs, all the pus, the water within the body, all are at a balance. Meaning although they in their cells are very unclean or very impure items, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala balanced them so perfectly within our bodies that our health depends on this balance. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding the human being that after we have granted you so many bounties, now that you have grown and you have developed your own understanding, how come you have deviated from our path? Don't you remember one time you were a baby and you were hopeless, and I had to put mercy in your mother's heart so she can raise you, and one day you will return to that state of helplessness, and it is only within me that I will put that mercy in your children so they will take care of you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the human being, no ma gharraka bi rabbikal kareem, I am such a kind nourisher of yours, but what has made you deviate from what I wanted you to do? So we should always remember the bounties Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon us, and all these bounties, and create a sense of shukr and a sense of gratitude for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and continue to praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, continue to sing the praises of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and continue to glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because whatever glorification we can make for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is less from